Hey, this is Pat, and today we're checking out the all-new Sena Phantom Smart Helmet. Now, the Sena Phantom is going to be an integrated Bluetooth and mesh helmet built into the entire helmet right out of the box, so you don't have to add or install it. We've seen these from a lot of different brands out there before, and one thing I will say is Sena is throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this helmet. It's got a ton of features that I'm going to talk about. It's got a headlight, it's got taillights, it's got a Sena 60S equivalent built in with a fiberglass shell on the outside, 3 shell sizes, as well as a couple other features, which is a lot when you start looking at it from the price point, which is $500. Usually when we get a lot of these features, we're up in the $600, $700, $800 price point range. And if you were to break down, say, buying a fiberglass helmet with 3 shells and a Sena 60S, as well as maybe adding like a brake free on the back of a helmet to get that braking system, you're looking at a lot more than $500. So I like that Sena's throwing everything at this, but keeping the price relatively low when you start looking at all the features throughout. Comes in sizes ranging from small to 3 extra large, and we can kind of hit some of the features of the helmet itself, and then we'll start talking about the cool technology they have built into it. I mentioned it before, it is a composite fiberglass shell throughout. It is 3 shell sizes. One thing I will say, it is only DOT in the US. I wish they would have added that ECE 2206. Talking with Sena, it sounded like it would get a lot heavier bringing that 2206 over, because the weight is already pretty high. You're looking at about 3 pounds, 14 ounces in a size large. When you're comparing that with other full face helmets, that's very high. When you're comparing it with helmets that already have a Bluetooth unit built in, as well as all the other features, it's relatively low. I mean, it's no heavier than most modular helmets out there just on their own, comparing across the market. And I'm bringing up modular helmets. One thing I want to say is this is more of like a sport touring, I'd say touring, leaning a little bit more on that side. Design to the helmet, it has a sportier look to it, really just because of the tail light built into the back of the helmet, which I'll show you in just a minute, but it does have a touring look to it. It's going to be great for upright riding, anybody who wants just something for long hauls and going down the road. But if you want to talk about fit, it's going to be intermediate oval, so a little bit longer than it is side to side, but it's going to be good for most of the US market. So keep that in mind. And I found these fit true to size. This, the medium that I had tried on and worn and taken out for a ride, fits spot on for a size medium, just like it should. So even with all the components built in, I like that they're adding that in there. So taking a look at the external sides of the shell, we'll start talking about some of the technology as well. Up at the front, biggest notable point is you do have a flashlight in the front. That was something they added on to the Sena 60S. They added it to the front in case, you know, you pull over on the side of the road at night or you just need a spotlight at the night. You do have that in there. I thought it was a camera when I first started seeing these come out, but it is just a headlight, but it is a nice strong LED, which I will turn off for the sake of our camera in the front. One other thing, when I'm talking about those lighting, you do have brake lights at the back. Now there's a couple different modes on this one that you can have in there, but it is accelerometer based, so as soon as you start braking, it's gonna start flashing in the front, just to let people behind you know that you are starting to decelerate on the road. Looking at the front of it, you do have 2 vents, one on each side of the chin, activated by just this one trigger here. Now that doesn't go to the face, that actually goes up to the face shield, so you're not gonna get any direct flow right to your mouth or your face, but you'll get matching vents up top as well, 2 on each side, as well as a single vent right at the center of the forehead. And then you can actually see up top is the trigger mechanism for the drop-down sun visor that is included. 2 exhaust vents built into the back above the spoiler, just to help blow some air out. But one thing I'll call out, I like the shield that they added onto this one. It's a nice clear pin lock ready shield. The pin lock is sold separately, but it is pin lock out of the box. Doesn't have the strongest detents in the mid zones, but it does have a solid closure as well as a nice hold at the top. I would have loved to seen some more detents running down the center just to make it a little bit easier for holding upright and getting a little bit more airflow through. That's how I typically ride if I'm coming to traffic or things like that, especially with the drop down sun visor engaged underneath. But it is clear, relatively flat, so it's going to have solid optics. And again, you have that drop down sun visor inside and the pin lock if you want to add it. Solid gasket seal all the way around. And I will say with the new Harman Kardon speakers that they're building into these, which I'll show you in just a couple minutes, they do have AI noise canceling that helps buffer a lot of that noise out when you're talking to your buddies, so it's not going to hear that. It's using AI technology to go ahead and keep all that wind noise to a minimum inside of the helmet. One more thing at the back, I'll show you before we go inside of it. You do have the battery and the charging point. It is USB-C. They did increase the battery size, which is the luxury of having it built in. They have more space to work with. So you're getting about 35 hours of talk time out of the battery built into there. Now, if you're using the tail light, if you're using the front light as well, that's going to drain the battery a little bit more, but it is nice to see that they're adding that in here. Here's the controls. I haven't shown them yet, but I'll give you a little glimpse at those. It is a 3-button design on the side with a little grabber so you know where it is, but you do have 3 buttons buttons running up right here to turn it on, turn it off, adjust the volume, do all of what the Sena 60S has to offer. Now, I will say the one thing you don't get that the Sena 60S did have is going to be the Bluetooth communications, so the 4-way rider to rider just in Bluetooth mode. You do have Bluetooth connection, so you can connect to a GPS or your phone, but the main comms from rider to rider are going to be mesh only. That's their 3.0 mesh, so it's their latest and greatest. It can cooperate with the Wave app if you want to add other riders in that are just, even if they're using AirPods, they can jump on the Wave app from Sena and use that in there, but it's going to be mesh only. I say mesh only, that's up to 24 riders in private mode and virtually limitless in their open mesh mode. So you can really have as many riders as you want in there. It's just going to be with that mesh comms only, so keep that in mind. Take a quick dive into the inside of the helmet to show you what we have in there. It is a removable chin skirt. I will say it's pretty stout on the chin skirt, so if you do want to remove it, you have to do a little bit of work to get it out of there, but that's nice because if you're putting the helmet on and off and you have a flimsy chin skirt, that's always something that I hate out of helmets, just because that usually is something that falls off and you don't even realize it and you're replacing it pretty routinely. Standard cheek pads, it's going to be a nice curvature to it to contour with the face, as well as a mesh backing and pretty soft main construction to get those in and out. And they're just standard snaps to go ahead and pull those in and out when you need to clean it, which if you aren't cleaning your helmet, just keep that in mind, you always should be. Matching, I'll pull out this other cheek pad. And you can see, I'll try to get these on camera here. You can see the Harman Kardon speakers built into the side of it. A nice padded material. It's gonna be their 45mm upgraded Harman Kardon speakers, so I like that they're adding that in there. And you also get that with the boom microphone that is already tucked in and built in to the chin of it to help block out as much noise. Again, that's why you're not getting any ventilation coming through from those chin vents, just to help keep it with as minimal amount of wind noise so the AI can do its job properly. Just remove the top liner here. It is 2 snaps at the back for the top liner, as we see with most helmets out there, and they're using brow mounts up at the front. That reduces any points of pressure up at the top, just to help keep any longer riding just a little bit more comfortable. Looking at the inside, you do see a couple of channels for the EPS just to help flow some air through. Nothing crazy, nothing spectacular, but I do like that it's direct to the vent ports, so if air is trying to escape, it's not going to be hindered while it's going out. But all in, I like this helmet. I think when it comes to built-ins, you have a couple different issues throughout the entire market, that they typically get heavier. They typically use cheaper helmet materials, but I think Sena has thrown a lot at it using fiberglass shell, 3 shell sizes. I wish it had the ECE 2206. That'd be something I'm after, but I could do without the headlight in the front to save weight, but I absolutely love that they're including something that we've seen another company exist entirely off this concept, like Brake Free having that accelerometer built-in braking system, just so you can add that into the back, which again, I'll go ahead and turn that on again so you can kind of see the light flashing in there. You can change the modes, you can do whatever you want inside of the app. So I like that they're adding that in there. I like that it's a composite fiberglass shell. Again, a lot of solid features for a price that should be, admittedly, probably a little bit higher when you start factoring in all of the features. But if you want more information on the Sena Phantom, go ahead and click that info button. It's going to take you over to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about this new lid. Don't just take my word for it. Do some of your own research as well. And if you still have questions after that, or if you're trying to nail down exactly what helmet is right for you, the fit, and make sure that it is the right size for you, give our customer service agents a call. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up for your next ride. I want to thank you for joining me in checking out the all-new Sena Phantom Smart Mesh Bluetooth helmet. I'm Pat. See you in the next video.